Hello, this is Patrick Ryan from the Tennessee World Affairs Council, and I'm pleased to host another episode of the Japan American Society of Tennessee special project on the impact of Japanese businesses in Tennessee. We're talking today with Victoria White. She is joining us from her home where she's working remotely, works for DENSO, and she is going to be talking with us today about her work at DENSO and in the community. Victoria has a deep background in business and international affairs and working with Japanese businesses. She's a graduate of the JET program. That's a program sponsored by the Japanese government to send Americans and others to Japan to work in schools. She's worked for Japanese companies since 2006. She was a Rotary Scholar in Tokyo, a graduate of Emory University with a major in international business and a minor in Japanese. She has been noted as the McMinn County 20 under 40 and cited by AMP for community involvement and an impact award. Victoria, welcome, and thanks for taking time today to talk to us about DENSO and your work in the community and your insights and perspectives on the impact of Japanese businesses in Tennessee.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, DENSO, I did a little digging, and DENSO is the blend of Japanese terms for electricity and device. And we know them as a major manufacturer, a global automotive manufacturer of components based in Korea, Japan, but also extensively in North America and here in Tennessee. So tell us a little bit about the company, where DENSO's located, employees, products, suppliers, customers. Give us an idea of what DENSO does.
Sure. So DENSO has a huge global network. That's one thing that I loved about joining it is I can live in the best place on earth, East Tennessee, and be part of this huge global company. So globally, we have 170,000 employees. In the United States alone, we have 17,500 employees across 41 sites that operate in 14 different states. So you really are, like I was saying, part of a huge network. At the plant that I work at in Athens, Tennessee, we have 1,500 employees, and we make a variety of product, stick coils, spark plugs, oxygen sensors, monolithic carriers, and fuel injectors. So we have really all the major OEMs are our customers. We're not just a Toyota Group company. GM, Ford, we have a really wide customer base.
And in Tennessee, Tennessee is now an automotive manufacturing state for several decades. And what company relationships are there within Tennessee?
Do you mean like our customers? That's kind of what I was mentioning. So we have all the different. So Nissan is headquartered in Tennessee, but Toyota has locations in Kentucky, Alabama, all over.
Okay. Now, the relationship with suppliers, what other businesses does DENSO connect to that is part of the footprint of DENSO's operations in terms of, are there other companies that have grown in Tennessee because of the presence of DENSO and other automotive manufacturers?
I'm sure you've talked about this in your other interviews, but I think I can't remember the exact number of Japanese companies that operate in Tennessee. Of course, we have a wide variety of suppliers, both American, Japanese, German companies. We work with all different suppliers.
Okay, now let's talk about what you do in the company and how long have you been with DENSO and you're working in Athens, and give us a bit of an insight of what your day looks like.
Sure. So I've been with DENSO for 10 years now. I'm in the HR department. So I have two main roles there. I do the non-exempt recruiting. So I hire our technicians, machine operators, and associates that do assembly and inspection. And then I'm also in charge of the expatriate program. So we currently have about 20 Japanese families that are on short-term assignments, 3 to 5 years from our headquarters in Japan. And so I help them adjust to life in the United States, find housing, get registered for school, find doctors, all of that stuff. That can be a little bit complicated when you're moving to a foreign country.
Right. It definitely is a new experience for Americans going abroad and for expats from Japan and other countries coming to Tennessee and the United States. How would you describe the connection of the company to the community? You've been noted for your community involvement. Tell us a little bit about where DENSO fits in East Tennessee. You know, we have had decades of experience with foreign direct investment from Japan, and I think DENSO and others are well integrated into communities. But tell us how you see the connections working out.
Sure, we're the largest employer in McMinn County. So right there, usually somebody has a friend or a family member that works for Denso. But one of our corporate goals is to be really involved in making a better society. I think, every company should be engaging in that, right? That's what we're all here to do, really. So Denso really focuses on that. We're very involved with the local United Way. We send about 100 volunteers out every year for the Day of Caring. So they're out. And I think that's really good to step outside of our walls and to be out in the community and see what's going on there. So we're very involved in that. I'm on the board of the Athens Isahaya Sister City Committee. So Isahaya is our sister city in Japan. It's in Nagasaki. And we've had a relationship with them for probably 20 years. COVID kind of slowed things down over the last few years, but we did have
Sure.
students from Japan come stay at our Tennessee Wesleyan, which is a local college located in Athens, for 2 weeks right before COVID happened. And we're hoping that they can come back again this summer. So I think there's just from Denso being such a large part of the community, there's so much interest in McMinn County for people to learn more about Japanese culture, about Japanese work ethic, and Japanese business practices.
Are there any connections with local organizations, schools, and such? Are there, you mentioned the Sister Cities relationship. What about community organizations in and around McMinn County?
Sure, we send out volunteers to local schools to teach about Japanese culture. Also, we have engineers that go out and teach STEM activities in the local schools in McMinn County, then also neighboring Bradley County, because we think it's really important to be creating our future workforce. And the way to do that is to let students have experience with hands-on with STEM activities.
And certainly a company like Denso with such a large footprint in East Tennessee has really cultivated these relationships. But what's your sense of how the community responds to having international companies investing in Tennessee? What's the reaction to having a foreign company in an area of Tennessee that may not have seen international businesses before?
I've only heard positive feedback from it because I think it brings some diversity to the community. And, for me personally, I can do the same work that my counterparts are doing in really large cities in New York or Detroit, but I can still live in this really wonderful rural community in East Tennessee. So I think it's always been very positive. I think they've been received very, very well. Athens, it's called the friendly city, and I found that to be extremely true. People are very open and welcoming and warm. And I've even witnessed myself just going to Walmart. If there's a Japanese associate that seems confused, there's people, that willingly come up to try and help them. I think it's been received very positively.
So it sounds like the community has been very hospitable, which is something that Tennessee is known for, is its hospitality. How would you say in any way that the community has been changed by Denso? Certainly the number of employees and the payroll and bringing in income has contributed to the prosperity of the region. Is that something that people in the community have come to realize has been a benefit?
Sure. I think the most noticeable change is in Maryville, Tennessee, outside of Knoxville. A very small community before Denso came there in the late 80s, and that community has just exploded up and around Denso. But I see the same thing in Athens. I see a lot of people that are looking for good paying jobs, hard workers that are wanting to move to the Athens area because they know that Denso is a good company and will provide stable income and security for their family.
And certainly tax revenue for the local communities has had some impact.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's wrap up, Victoria. How would you describe the notion, the overall impact of Japanese businesses on Tennessee?
I think Japan is the largest foreign direct investor in the state of Tennessee, right? So I think there's a huge impact. So many Tennesseans work for Japanese companies. And I think the most important thing, it's a good way to create peace. I think when you work next to someone in a production setting or on a job day in and day out, you have a different understanding of them as just opposed to, Japan is a country on the other side of the world. We don't really understand each other. But when you have that opportunity to work side by side, I think, moving forward, it just creates a different understanding between people and cultures and friendships, wonderful friendships I've seen come out of it for sure.
Well, that's great. We've been talking with Victoria White. She is in Athens, Tennessee. She works in HR at DENSO, a major automotive manufacturer in Tennessee. Victoria, thanks so much for your insights on the impact of DENSO and Japanese business in Tennessee.
Absolutely. Thanks for your work on this project, Pat. I think it's so important moving forward. So thanks for all you've done too.
Okay, great. Well, again, this is the Japan American Society of Tennessee project on the impact of Japanese businesses in Tennessee. I'm Patrick Ryan at the Tennessee World Affairs Council. Thank you very much.